a lot of the multiplayer success for Stormgate, weirdly, is hinged on the success of the single player. So this was on the YouTube channel Stormgate Central. Again, give this channel a subscribe if you would on YouTube. They are keeping us in the loop here with everything going on with Stormgate, and they got an update here. It's titled, Here's How Stormgate's Campaign Will Work. So we're going to take a look at this.
Hey guys, a Ghost here. Welcome back to Stormgate Central. So today we've got a pretty interesting Q&A that has been answered by the Frost Giant team. This is over on the Kickstarter for the game. So if you guys are interested in it, I will of course link it down below. But they've gone over
I'll turn this up a little bit.
All about the campaign, so how the campaign is going to be made available to us, how much it's going to cost, and I guess just how they plan to tell this story over the course of the game's lifespan.
So one thing to keep in mind real quick here, just being completely transparent, modern Tasteless was never, I'm just not into RTS campaigns. I never beat the StarCraft 2 campaign. I did beat Wings of Liberty. I did eventually beat Heart of the Swarm a few years after it came out, and then I never beat Legacy of the Void. That being said, when I was a kid, the Warcraft 2 storyline, the Command and Conquer storyline, and the StarCraft Brood War, obviously, storyline had massive impacts on my childhood. So if those campaigns did not exist, Little Tasteless would have been doing something else, whether that was with another game or something else with my life. So the stories really got me sucked in. When I became a competitive player, that's kind of where my interest fell off in campaigns. And the same is true for Artosis. We've joked about this. We had to meet with all the people that made StarCraft and admit to them at some point in time, yeah, we never actually beat Legacy of the Void. Just wasn't our thing. We went straight into multiplayer. The reason why I'm bringing that up is you might be somebody like me. You might not have a whole lot of interest in the storyline for Stormgate, right? If you've been playing competitive RTS for as long as me or following it wherever you're at, you're probably ready to jump into multiplayer. That being said, I think it is really important for the whole new generation of players that are going to come up. We're talking about the Zoomers. We're talking about people in middle school, high school, elementary school, to have the inspirational moments, the story that's going to introduce them to the idea of RTS as a game that's fun, as a world that you can get sucked into and enjoy. And also it's a way to carefully spoon feed the units, the resource mechanics to new players, because the reality is picking up an RTS, even if you play a lot of them, it can be very overwhelming. So a lot of the multiplayer success for Stormgate, weirdly, in my opinion at least, is hinged on the success of the single player, because that's going to be the gateway into the multiplayer space for the new players.
Which hopefully is going to be very long and fruitful. Guys, as always, before we get started, if you guys do enjoy the content here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys so much for your support. Recently, you guys have been killing it. Okay,
follow their channel, guys.
Started. So a short while back, Frost Giant reached out to the Kickstarter backers and gave them the opportunity to ask questions for an upcoming Q&A. And here is a little pie chart showing the different categories for those questions, and you'll notice that the biggest category here is all about gameplay 1v1. No surprises there. They did say they're going to go...
Sorry, let me go back to that. That was a lot.
No surprises there.
Shit. Not good at rewinding. So this was the distribution of what people were most interested in when supporting on the Kickstarter. And gameplay 1v1 was the highest. Only 14%, though. I mean, this is a pretty wide distribution of what people had an interest in here. Co-op and Heroes, obviously that's also a multiplayer feature. Campaign appears to be 11.4%. But I do feel like a lot of these would be overlapping, right? So... yeah, anyways, I'll let him finish
is all about
add more.
Gameplay 1v1. No surprises there. They did say they're going to go and answer this category or some of the questions from it in a future update, but for this one, they're talking all about the second largest category, which is the campaign. So here they say, many of you are curious about our plans for the Stormgate campaign, and we are excited to share a little insight into what's in store. First off, the length of the campaign is a tough thing to measure because we are not telling a single self-contained story. Core to our vision for Stormgate is the idea of telling an ongoing story that is released in an episodic format. We don't want players to have to wait for more than a year or longer before being able to experience what's next for our cast of characters and the new universe. So we aim to keep things fresh by releasing more stories on a regular cadence, with each chapter being made up of 3 playable missions. So no, we aren't thinking of big expansions with their own game subtitles, and instead are planning around the episodic approach. So
I think this is a smart idea. You know what I actually thought a long time ago? I was always confused why League of Legends didn't have like a little mini campaign, like a mission or two you could do with each character. It just seemed like a real lost opportunity. Like just some kind of simple level that you could play through, like take Graves or I don't know, Fiddlesticks, or I don't really know who's popular now in League of Legends, but just make like a, I don't know, $3.99 or whatever you want to price it at. I don't actually know pricing for microtransactions, but you know what I'm saying. Just give a player a chance if they're into the lore, if they're into maybe they don't feel like safe learning a character in a situation where it has to be multiplayer or versus bots or all that. Yeah, give me like a little campaign. Anyways, I think it's good they're going to do this. I think that way they can pace these releases of the campaign along with the things they're going to change or update into multiplayer. You got to keep in mind that like this is going to be a living game in a way that will fix what StarCraft 2 had a problem with. StarCraft 2 was running on a model that was like as old as, releasing, I guess as old as StarCraft 1, right? Okay, we're going to release this version of the game, then we're going to have a whole new expansion pack with new units, a new story, all that. I think having the kind of slow drip method where you get a little bit of campaign, maybe a little bit of changes in multiplayer and updates, and the players that are in that ecosystem are constantly getting to experience that new stuff is a really good idea.
Straight away here, this kind of reminds me, if you guys remember all the way back from StarCraft 2, I believe they released one mission pack that was called Nova Covert Ops. I remember specifically buying that one and playing it, and I thought we were going to get more of them, but I guess they just decided to shut that down. This really reminds me of that. I don't remember exactly how many missions that was. I want to say somewhere between 3 to 5 missions, so that certainly seems to be the inspiration for this format. So they continue here, how much entertainment you'll get out of those chapters will vary from player to player, as some of you will race through to see it before getting right back to competing on the ladder or playing co-op versus AI. Others will want to play through these story missions multiple times, perhaps revisiting a mission with friends or doubling back to hunt for Easter eggs. In general, we think a typical 3-mission chapter will represent between 3 to 5 hours of gameplay for the average player, potentially more, but in some cases less. So again, it depends what kind of a player you are. Like they say, some people are just going to play it on normal mode, see the story beats, see what happens, and that'll be it. Others are going to complete it on hard mode, then they're going to do achievement runs, and then maybe even more than that, they're going to give themselves additional challenges like trying to complete it without losing a single unit. Many of you were curious about how much these chapters will cost when the game is released, and apparently here the monetization plan in general was one of the top categories. So this represents our current thinking and is not set in stone, but we are leaning towards selling chapter packs, each containing 3 story missions for approximately $10 US. We feel that it represents a good value to our players and would allow us to continue funding ongoing development for new story chapters for years to come. So just to interject for a second here, I am pretty excited for Stormgate's campaign. We don't really know a whole lot about the lore or the world yet. We know that it is a post-apocalyptic world, and the human vanguard are basically trying to survive against the demons, the infernals. But all I can say is that if they want to sell 3 missions for $10 a pop, that is a fairly steep price if you compare it to StarCraft 2, which obviously released a long time ago, so maybe it's not fair to compare it to that game. But something that is fair to compare it to is the amazing narrative, the world.
Is it a lot for 3 missions? I don't know. I'm genuinely asking. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is that too much or too little? What are... I feel like a lot of even just cosmetic microtransactions are somewhere in that range or more, you know, for things like Valorant and other stuff. I feel like that's not bad. But yeah, I don't feel like that's a lot. At least my chat here is saying that. You know, I feel like that's fair, especially when you consider that they have to have map makers, probably voice acting for the storyline and stuff. The Nova mission packs for like $10, you're pretty sure? Okay, yeah, I thought the same thing.
And the lore of games like StarCraft and Warcraft that the player base is going to be used to and expecting. You wouldn't really think that most RTS games would have that incredible of a story and an amazing narrative, but actually StarCraft is one of the best stories that I've ever heard, you know, going all the way back to the original Brood War, with Kerrigan being left down on the planet and sort of taken by the Zerg, and instead of killed, she was morphed and then became their queen. And then of course that sort of evolved into StarCraft 2, and it became the whole thing of like, is there some good left in Kerrigan, or is she all evil? And then if we think about Warcraft 3, I mean, how many amazing iconic characters have come out of the Warcraft universe as a whole.
I kind of felt like the StarCraft storyline started to fall off for me. You know, during StarCraft 2. But then again, I was also a child when I played StarCraft 1. A lot of the games that I really loved as a kid don't have the same appeal to me as story-wise, just because I'm in a different place as an adult. I just think there's so much you can do story-wise in any game, and I think RTS is a great opportunity to do that. So, anyways, I'm excited to see what they're going to do with it.
And then been even more fleshed out over the years in World of Warcraft, right? So, you know, there are big boots to fill here for Stormgate. People are going to be expecting something quite special, especially if you are going to be charging $10 for 3 missions, and if people don't really like the campaign, they're not going to be buying additional mission packs. However, it does seem like they are off to a pretty good start here. They have a partnership with New York Times bestselling author Mickey Nielsen, and also the help of Blizzard Entertainment's Chris Metzen, who is pretty much a master storyteller, I would say. I don't think there's a single thing that Chris has worked on that I wasn't a big fan of. How much he is actually involved here, we don't really know, but I think it definitely bodes well for the future that he is involved. Now, they've also shared here that you will be able to play the campaign missions that you have purchased with a friend via co-op. Now, your friend unfortunately won't have access to achievements, unlocks, so that is one of the drawbacks to them not actually purchasing the mission. So if they want to partake in all of those activities, they are going to have to purchase it for themselves. But nevertheless, if they just want to play through the story on normal mode one time and see what the lore and the world is all about, they can definitely do that with you if you've purchased the missions for yourself. And then they also go on here to say, we are also excited to confirm that we will be introducing new content through the campaign each season, such as new units, heroes, maps, and mechanics to keep things fresh. So a new hero that debuts in a new campaign chapter could then become part of our 3-player co-op and 3v3 rosters, accompanied by the campaign-specific units as part of their modified tech.
So that's exciting. Co-op and team play are also essential for a healthy multiplayer ecosystem. It allows players to play with their friends, get comfortable with the feel of interacting in an RTS environment without the brutality of going 1 versus 1, especially against players that are very good and very fast and can basically run circles around you. So from what I gather with this, it does seem like there's going to be a steady slow drip to entice players of all the different types of RTS experiences that there are. So that's good. And obviously, I'm just one of those dimensions of RTS players. I'm hardcore 1 versus 1. I did do team games. I think a lot of people don't know that in StarCraft 1. Excuse me. I was on Team USA and in RS Gaming like a million years ago. I was the ringer for 2v2 when we had clan leagues. So I have an appreciation for team games. Maybe I should do a video at some point in time about why I like StarCraft 1 2v2 more than StarCraft 2 2v2. But it would also be interesting to see if you could get competitive 3v3 and stuff like that out and build that up like 1v1's been built up. They did do that successfully in Korea with StarCraft 1. It seems like that never got the attention it probably deserved in StarCraft 2. So yeah, just some food for thought there.
Trees. The primary goal here is for the game to feel fresh and exciting with each update. So I guess similar to how we saw Blockade in the co-op mode in the last playtest, he would have been generally introduced via one of these campaign packs. You would have gotten to play 3 missions with Blockade, and then he would also be in the 3-player co-op mode as well. From the bottom of our hearts, thank you. We are rapidly closing in on $2 million, and we couldn't be more grateful for the support that you've shown the team. That is insane. The initial goal was $100,000, so to get $2 million is a really amazing success. So congratulations to Frost Giant for that.
By the way, guys, this Kickstarter is still up. They are very close to that $2 million sign-up thing. If you've got some extra cash, I would definitely throw it their way. They do have tiers of things you can unlock depending on how much support you give them. Also, you should wishlist this game on Steam. We want to try to have game, like, not just for the sake of Stormgate, but for the sake of RTS in general. Showing that there's an interest for that is going to be good for other RTS games down the road as well.
We'll be seeing many of you in the game very soon, and hope that you enjoy this early look at what the team has been building. So don't forget, guys, in February you will be able to play the game for free for a week during the Steam Next Fest. If you guys want all the details on that, go and check out this video here. But to close out the video here, I personally don't really have any problem paying $10 for 3 missions. It does seem a little bit steep in price if you compare it to past games, but it is 2024 now. We're not back in 2014 with the release of Legacy of the Void anymore, so maybe that's not necessarily fair to compare it to that either. What I'm more concerned about is how are you going to be able to tell an enthralling story with just 3 episodes? If you plan to have the beginning, middle, and end of your story in those 3 episodes, I don't really feel like that is long enough, unless the episodes are going to be incredibly long, each one of them, to actually get that story out there. And if we're going to stop mid-story, I mean, that's going to be kind of like watching a TV show, watching 3 episodes, and then having to wait a month or 2 until you get the next 3 episodes, and then when you go and watch it, you're like, wait, who is this character? What was happening again? You can't really recall. It's like loading up your save game some months after you last played, and you almost feel like you need to restart the entire game.
This is an interesting take. I always kind of think of it like seasons of a TV show. Like, you have, you know, season 1 comes out and you get to experience that. Maybe you binge it. Maybe you know, it takes a week or 2 to get through. And then normally the solution for that, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. CGay, appreciate it. I think what you do is when the next, let's say, 3 episodes come out, wouldn't you just have like a, you know, like they do in TV previously, I don't know, on Stormgate or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, they would have something that would remind everybody of what happened. I mean, isn't this what we all did with Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad, or, you know, whatever TV series? I mean, Severance is about to come out. You kind of remind everybody what happened. I guess it would depend on how long the campaign is. I would imagine, especially for the first couple of levels, it should be pretty simple, right? But maybe there's, like, you know, goals you can set inside of there to try and, I don't know, you can put Easter eggs in there. Maybe you could try to do different things in the mission to get the story. But either way, I think it's good to have a story that can be episodic so that they can put the time in there, especially if the story's really good and people start to speculate about what's going to happen next. I think that you could have a lot of people getting hyped, getting interested about what's going to happen. Remember The Walking Dead and all the Telltale games? I think they went bankrupt, but I think they took on too many projects. I think they tried to grow too fast. But that was one of those games where they really had like a great story that you could really get into, and people were ready to go when the next season came out. I think that's even not even necessarily as RTS, but that's another business model you could certainly look at in the future for games if it's done right and it can be sustainable.
No idea how they're going to tackle that. I'm sure they thought about it though, and I'm sure they have some plan of action there. So definitely interested to learn more about the campaign and see what that's going to be about. But that is going to do it for this video, guys. So leave me your thoughts down below. What do you think of the pricing? What do you think about the amount of content we are going to be getting with each pack of missions there?
Follow them, guys. Stormgate Central
going over all
on
of
YouTube.
the details for the upcoming free-to-play open beta on Steam Next Fest in February. Feel free to give that one a watch. But otherwise, have a good day, guys. I'll see
Yeah, look, I'm gonna give the campaign a shot. I'll probably be streaming it when it's out and it's ready to go. And let me know what you think about the stuff that I said, and if you're going to be in the campaign or not in the comments section. Please be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to be putting more content around Stormgate. I'm also doing a lot of old StarCraft history, esports history, RTS history, content like that on this channel as well. See this 1A, 2A, 3A shirt? You can get this at tastelessthreads.com. That is my merch site, and I hope to see you in a future video. Thank you so much, and have a good day. Bye-bye.